Welcome to Pandora's Box episode. Guess what number?
27.
69.
What?
Yeah.
Damn.
No, it's not 69. I'm hypnotizing. I'm
Bro,
lying.
you got me. That was a good pattern interrupt.
Yeah. Okay.
Gonna learn some skills today, guys.
Today we've got Ibrahim, top G. Can I say that?
You don't know what episode this is, do you?
I don't know.
I knew
this
it.
is. The one with Orlando, I told him that was episode 69 too. But you're a hypnotist.
Yes.
Hypnotist.
Yeah.
Hypnotist. What other trades did you do in your past?
I did everything, man. I did drop shipper, so AKA scammer. I did crypto. I did trading. I did running an agency. That was the business that actually took off. I actually did software.
I didn't know
as
that.
well. Yeah, I did software for a while.
Very cool.
Pretty much everything. Jack of all trades.
That's wicked. And what I find really cool about you is I had no idea who you were in December. And you seem to have just blown the fuck up pretty quickly. And that to me is so cool and so inspirational. And also you're like a legit nice guy. Sometimes I think you see people that get really successful quite quickly and it can taint them in their head. What's your secret behind that?
I used to be like egotistical at one point. When I first had my first success running the agency, so I went from being in my parents' shed, like leaving a economics degree where I should have gone and worked at Goldman Sachs, moved back into my parents' shed. That was very humbling. All my friends are out doing, whatever they want to do.
Stuff, yeah.
I then worked really hard, got a penthouse in London. So I then went from being in a shed to a penthouse. That was like the immediate move. So I did think I was the shit then. And so I had the partying, I did the girls, I did the travel, all of that shit. And it was so empty and meaningless to me that I felt the worst I'd ever felt because I could no longer say I'll be happy when I get to that point. So I was really lucky to learn that early. That was the best thing I could have learned.
And what gives you meaning now?
So there's lots of different things. The impact of this stuff that I'm doing, right? This is 5 months into a 10-year vision. So knowing like this is what I have a vision for 10 years is really cool. It took me up until getting to 30 years old to do that, by the way. So if you're less than 30, don't stress.
If you're above, you're fucked.
If you're above, you're screwed.
Unless you buy his hypnosis stuff.
Buy my course. I don't even have a course. Shit, I need something to shill, bro. What was the question? So, what did you ask again, bro?
What drives you now?
Yeah,
Like, how do you stay?
so the impact of that, I also get really driven by mastery. And from now I get to work with, 9-figure CEOs, athletes, all these people. One of the common traits that I recognize by them, and this is one of the biggest ways I can provide value to the audience, isn't even through my own journey. I can, but through what I see in these top performing people, I think that's even more valuable. So one of the traits, I posted a reel about this yesterday. Met this guy at a crypto event. You were there.
Yeah. The one in the Burj.
Yes. So within 5 minutes, he's like, I want to work with you. I was like, cool. Random dude I've never met. Sweet. Go over to the Burj Al Arab in his 2-story suite the next day. He's 23 years old. He's like, by the way, this is where I'm at business wise. We'll do $750 million this year. And I just look at him in the eyes. I'm like, yep. Exactly. Yeah. And I'm like, okay, and I'm just like zoning out from it. I'm like, how did this 23-year-old kid who used to be a frat party goer 4 years ago, who got kicked out of his frat,
Wow.
He didn't even make it through his frat. He got kicked out for doing drugs. How did he now have a $750 million business and he's building his own currency? I was like, how does that happen? 2 of the traits I noticed from just being around him was, 1, his speed from thought to action. There was zero gap, like zero gap. And that stood out. Like he's financially the most financially abundant person I've worked with so far. Haven't worked with any billionaires yet. I'm excited for that. And he made the decision the quickest. So that was interesting. I don't think
Was he always like that? Or was there something that changed him to be like that?
I don't think so, no. He wasn't born into money. He didn't have any of that.
But the speed.
I think it was developed over time because what it is, you realize how quickly things move and also what the value of your time is. It's like, say his time is worth 20 grand an hour as an example. Him taking 5 minutes more to make a decision actually costs him thousands if you think about it, right? So that was number 1. The second thing, and he told me this when I got round, he was like, by the way, I don't even know if this will work. Like usually people come to me by referral. He'd heard a few good things from people, but usually it's referrals. He was like, I don't know if this is going to work. I have these questions. And that's when I learned the second thing, which is that he made the decision super fast, but he was also willing to be wrong. He was willing to be wrong and for it not to work. that was fascinating because if you think about, and I myself included in the past, like, how most people buy it, it's like, it has to work out. What's the guarantee? What's the risk? How much am I losing if I? And the way he thought was just like, no, do it. I'm okay being wrong. And that is how he moved so fast. Everybody else who he started with is still trying to start. They haven't even started yet, or they're taking so long to make these decisions. So just like when you said, do you want to do this podcast when we're out? When was it? Yesterday or the day before? It was just like, yep, let's do it. You booked it straight away. Now we're here. That's the difference. Like we booked it for 9 p.m. because we couldn't hear each other in the club.
Yeah.
But that's the difference. And it's just speed. And I think if people just acted, even if it was wrong some of the time, you'd still be so much further ahead. And so you asked about me. It's like, kind of did move quick, or I did move quickly in these last few months, but it was because I was ready and I was certain and I was confident that I could do it. And that we can talk about confidence as a central thread throughout this as well. But that is just one of the things that if you just became more confident, how do you do that? It doesn't come from competence. Bullshit. You choose to be confident.
I'm so happy you said that.
You choose to be confident. It's literally a decision. And again, this is not just me saying this. All these guys that I work with who are 7 figures plus, every single one of them had a moment when they just said, I've had enough. I'm just going to decide. They weren't born out of the womb as a baby coming out like, yeah, I'm the shit. No. And confidence also isn't ego. It isn't bravado. It isn't any of that stuff. It's you believing in yourself. That is what confidence is. There's no limit to too much confidence, but when it's coming from the right place. Can you be ego, cocky and arrogant? Sure. That's a separate thing. We're not talking about that. We're just talking about confidence because another one, when we were at dinner yesterday or the day before, I don't even know what day it is. When that Ore came in, the tall Nigerian guy, right? I did a podcast with him just like this, and then he asked me to hypnotize him at the end. I did a 5-minute hypnosis for confidence on him, funnily enough. And the thing he was saying, the reason I started recording is because he was at 50K a month in his business for 6 months straight. Couldn't get past this invisible ceiling. He knew how to run a business, he knew how to get clients, he knew how to service clients, all of that shit, but he had this invisible ceiling. And that invisible ceiling was his self-belief. He didn't fully believe, because he's this kid from Nigeria who was with nothing. So suddenly now making 50K a month is a crazy amount of money to him compared to everybody else.
Billionaire status.
It is literally the same. So then we made that shift, increased that confidence. He then came, and the next time I saw him was in Dubai. He was like, yeah, we just hit 125K this month. 125K. So he over doubled his revenue just by becoming more confident. And so that was the only thing that changed. And he said those exact words to me. We can put up a clip if you want, whatever. But I just want, if people could just decide to be more confident, it will solve the vast majority of your problems. Just come from that.
It's funny you say this. I think 2 things that we touched on there. One is speed of action and speed of implementation. I could not agree with more with that. Even myself, sometimes I need to just go faster and faster and faster, because as long as you fail forwards, you're still making way more progress than everyone else. And one thing, because I've networked with really, really successful people here in Dubai, and one of the most common tricks that I see is, like, as you said as well, people willing to take risks on themselves and bets on themselves and invest in themselves. And the reason I bring this up is because my old mindset was, I don't really know, like this. And I'd be so over analytical. And to be honest, it's because I got burnt before, actually by a hypnotist. I think I told you, right? Yeah. And so that kind of knocked me out the game in a way, because it knocked my confidence in a roundabout way. But now I'm like, all of these people, the one common trait is they all invest in themselves. And what I hear, one of my good friends who's very successful, multi-millionaire, young as well, which is also the cool thing being here, is you see young people that are rich. He goes, even if you buy a course and it's like 5K or 10K, today, it might be a bit of a scam. Like maybe it's a bit of a scam, right? And I'm not advocating for scams, but even if it's not, even if you don't get 100% of what you wanted or what you were sold on, if it gives you that one little tweak or that one little nugget, it's the same for these masterminds. A lot of the guys that go to the masterminds, I say to them, like, what did you get out of it? Half the time it's the network. It's not even anything like crazy, but it's these little nuggets. And you might not realize it, but if you can think think about your life as you're driving on this track, and this little nugget just adds 1% speed, or I don't know, maybe it puts you like a tiny bit in the right direction. Over a 10-year horizon, which is I'm glad you said 10-year horizon for yourself, or 20 years, you're going to be so much further ahead than everyone else. And people also forget this. I think people are so stuck in thinking short term versus that long term mindset. For you, you mentioned 10 years, you're 5 months into this 10-year plan. What's the 10-year plan?
Well, on that point, people overestimate what they can do in a month or a year. They massively underestimate what they can do in 10, right? So if I look back at my last 10 years, everything that I did was preparation to now be where I am now. When I was running a marketing agency, I knew I'm not always going to be running a marketing agency. It wasn't what I wanted to do for my whole life, but I knew that it was giving me skills, it was giving me cash flow, it was giving me connections, the ability to go to all these masterminds, reinvest in myself, all of these things, to then find the thing. I didn't know what the thing was, but I had like clues that I was pulling on this thread of. And then that's why it happened seemingly quickly. It was an overnight success with 10 years going into it, right? So it's not really. But these next 10 years, basically, so first of all, it's just working with so my whole mission behind Conscious Entrepreneur, which is my company, is that entrepreneurs change the world, not governments, right? And you can see what's literally happening in the world right now, which is fascinating to see that coming into fruition. So if entrepreneurs change the world, I want to help entrepreneurs specifically first, because I can only help so many people at once, right? And obviously I want to help everyone at once, but there's a plan to that. So by working with these entrepreneurs, you know, who influence thousands of people or hundreds of thousands or millions of people, it's like a top-down effect. So by helping one entrepreneur with one thing, immediately that affects everything that he does. And there's this huge butterfly effect of that. So it's doing that. It's then basically going into the other industries. So now I actually did my first hypnosis on a football player.
Wicked. How was it?
It's really good. Yeah, he loved it, man. He loved it. Cool. He was super receptive. Yeah. So Man City on the way. Well, childhood dreams coming true. But starting to do that. And why do I want to work with these people? Is it just because it's cool or just so I can get some... No, it's not because of that. It's because to the average person... And we haven't even got into hypnosis yet, but you assume it's bullshit, right? Or you assume it's like a magic trick, or that's how I definitely saw it, because that's how it's branded, and it's like some weird guy who's super pale, who has like some black weird gown on and a hat, and you're just like
Neo from the Matrix.
It just looks weird, right? So what I want to do is change that public perception to say, no, look, you can actually use this for success. Yeah. Because once you learn how to tap into the skill, which every single person can tap into, can you be hypnotized? Yes, because you're in hypnosis half the bloody day anyway. As a child, you're in hypnosis 80% of the time. That's why you can learn so quickly. When you're brushing your teeth, when you're in the shower, when you're driving the car, you're in hypnosis, in a hypnotic state. When you're scrolling on Reels, 40 minutes goes by. Where did those 40 minutes go? You were in trance, right? Just different forms of trance. And you're being programmed for bullshit, basically, that you don't want. So when you have these thoughts or these anxieties or these invisible walls, or you're just wasting time, or you don't have clarity, it's because the things that you're putting into your mind is just crap, garbage in, garbage out. So the hypnosis is just a way of basically saying, these are the inputs that I want, putting them in, letting go, like removing the ones you don't. Like if you heard Sam the other day at dinner saying, like, I literally can't remember what my fears were. Like, he's not joking. Like, he genuinely can't remember what his fears were. And if you imagine what your goal is, and if you listen to this, and what's your big vision, just whatever that comes to mind, imagine if you had no fear about getting to that vision. How much quicker and easier do you think you'd get there? Probably a lot quicker and easier. So it's not any kind of tactic, any strategy, any hidden thing that you need to buy some strategy for. You know what to do. It's just you're not doing it because of you have a fear. You have fear of failure, fear of judgment. You have a limiting belief. You don't think you're good enough. You don't show up properly. You have bad habits. You have business ADHD. Whatever it is, you have these issues that are stopping you. Those are all symptomatic of deeper things which you can change. Once you change them, it's just you don't have to push. You don't have to hustle and grind. You just let it happen. It just flows. It's natural. And it feels normal and comfortable doing it. The only reason people don't do it is because, say that next goal, say you want to go from, you know, making 10K a month to becoming a millionaire. It's just because what comes with being a millionaire in your mind, there's actually negatives associated to that, or there's pain associated to that. And so you won't want to do it because we want to avoid pain. Whereas if you can reprogram yourself to see all of the upside, fully believe that you're that person, and actually act that way now, instead of waiting to get there and thinking it will be different, acting that way now, that's the shortcut. That's how you get there rapidly. I wasn't always a hypnotist. I hypnotized myself to become a hypnotist. One day to the next, it was literally like, Ibrahim's a new person. There's people go through these changes and these identity shifts and you see it. But if you can learn to do it intentionally without something bad happening or something forcing you to have a near-death experience or somebody passes away or whatever the problem is, if you can do that intentionally, you become dangerous, man. You can do anything. And even Elon's probably a good example of this. Like if you look at him over a time horizon and just visually what he looks like, the way he talks, the companies that he was involved with, he did this. Like he went from being in finance, PayPal, to rocket scientist. You know what I mean? That's like a big pivot.
There's a lot of identity shifts.
A lot, man. And now he's politics, right? Like these iterations just happen. So that's really the trait. It's being able to change who you are. When you can change who you are and realize that you're not static, you're always changing in every single moment, you can literally just decide from 1 second to the next to be someone else.
Would you say there's a spiritual element to what you do?
I think there's a spiritual element to everything because I believe that we all have a spirit inside of us. So we are all spiritual. Whatever your belief is, my belief is just God. But whatever your belief is, if it's God, the universe or something, people ask me that, this guy, funnily enough, that multi-nine-figure guy, he was like, yeah, but what do you think about what people would say about Jesus? You know, and I'm a follower of Jesus. So I, obviously believe in that. And there is a spiritual element. However, the reason why I don't put it at the forefront, even I am a spiritual person, is just because I don't like to create any separation. And those identities can create separation for certain people who are not, like most of my clients aren't super spiritual guys, right? So if I was to talk a lot about that, it would create separation from them getting the change that they want. So I just use real life examples or even science as that contemporary language to be able to communicate what I do.
If we go back to confidence though, the reason I bring it up is because sometimes I look at it and I wonder if there are kind of spiritual paradigms within this universe. Now this goes really esoteric and strange, but I want your take on it.
Sure.
When we talk about confidence, for example, you know that classic phrase, if you can take a horse to water, but you can't force it to drink? Mm-hmm. Sometimes I feel like when you try and teach people confidence, for example, it's like they're almost not spiritually level to evolve or spiritually ready to evolve to that next level. And the reason I bring this up is because if you have someone like that, is it not better that instead of trying to make them do this massive jump, you should just teach them to get confidence from being competent? Do you think that's like the bridge?
Look, it works. I'm not saying that doesn't work. I'm just saying that's the slow way. So it depends how you want to do it. If you want to do it a step at a time, you'll get there eventually. Go do it, right? That's how 99% of people do it. I'm focusing on the 1% of people who just want to skip all the levels and just get there faster. So both work.
Rubber Dingy Rapids, bro.
What was that from?
4 Lions.
I haven't seen that, bro.
I'll watch it.
I'll watch it. We'll have a popcorn night.
We'll put up the
as a good.
thing.
I know. I feel
it's so good. I'm
that.
disappointed. Anyway, keep going.
What was I even saying?
Sorry, I ruined that.
That was a good
Rubber Dingy Rapids. Got ADHD brain over here. Right, let's go back into it. What are ways that? So you said that one of the things that you see a lot with these high level guys is speed of implementation. Yep. Are there areas that you're not moving fast enough yourself?
For sure. You can always. I can always. I'm like the most self-analytical and critical person on myself because everything that I am teaching or helping a client with is directly what I am doing and have to be doing in order to actually be in alignment with what I'm saying, right? So I'm always looking at, the question I always ask myself is, what is the 10x action I can take today that will quantum leap what I'm doing to that next level?
What was the answer today?
So I'll be honest, I woke up a little bit late today, so I didn't get a chance to ask the question yet. But if I ask it, I mean, dude, even doing this, right? This is a 10x action. And the reason why is because obviously we get to connect, we get to provide value. It's also in alignment with a new strategy I put in place around how I'm going to reach more people. So this is a 10x action because there's a massive leverage in this media that we're creating. So that is one. But a big theme for me has been the people that I work with is a 10x action, right? Because by being able to help these people at different levels, that quantum leaps my ability, but it also changes the belief systems of people, because suddenly people who don't believe in this will go, whoa, if that guy's doing it, maybe I'll do it. And the more you can do that, the more people believe it. Or if you look at religion only exists because enough people believe it. The fact that we transact through dollars or dirhams here, that only works because you and I both agree.
Everyone's bought into the system.
We've bought into it. But then suddenly if that goes away, what happens? Hyperinflation, it loses all of its value and systems come crumbling down, which has happened many times in the past. So everything is built on a shared collective belief system, right? So everything essentially comes down to belief. And what even is belief, first of all? Because a lot of people get that confused, what that even is. Most people think their beliefs are facts, which is not the case. Otherwise, they'd be called facts, like universal laws like gravity, for example. A belief is simply just a thought in your mind that's been repeated enough times that you just believe it. So why do you believe, for example, say you don't have self-belief and you don't have that much confidence because your dad said when you were younger at the soccer match, like, oh, like you fucked up today, like you'll never be he just said it under his breath, and you heard that, and then that made you not confident. Because why? You believed your dad because he had authority over you, he had conviction in what he was saying, and you believed him, and therefore you played out that role of, okay, well, I won't do that anymore. Versus if somebody had come and said, you will be the next Ronaldo, with 100% confidence and conviction, and he believed in you and he poured into you, and you took that on because he had that authority, how do you think your life would play? I'm not saying you definitely would become the next Ronaldo, but do you think your chances of going way further in soccer would be way higher? Of course they would, right? So essentially, everyone's just waiting for permission to do what the fuck they actually want to do. And the only thing that's stopping them from doing that is just that they do not believe that they can, based on some bullshit that someone else said
I love you
at
saying
some
this.
point in the past. And so if you think about it like this, right, people go, yeah, but isn't it delusional to just be this person and like walk into a room that way and say I'm this and that? It's like, maybe. But isn't it more delusional to believe the illusion of these fears and these bullshit beliefs that aren't even yours in the first place when you actually get down to it, that someone else just randomly said? And by the way, that person who said those beliefs that aren't helping you, are they where you want to be? I guarantee they aren't. The people who are where you want to be, what are they saying? This is what they're saying, something along these lines. So it's just who you're listening to. So I'd rather be delusional about where I want to go instead of being delusional about where I don't want to go, because whatever you focus on is what you create. You don't have to go on this whole healing journey. You don't have to do inner child trauma. Yeah, some shit happened to you in the past. I'm very empathetic to that. But what do you want to focus on? Do you want to focus on that? Or do you want to focus on creating a life where you make more money, where you become healthier, where you become more confident, where you actually create the life of your dreams, where you can go and support your family, where you can go on epic adventures? What do you want to focus on, right? That's all you get.
I think it's funny you said that. This is going to be contentious. I think a lot of people that I've met, this is going back to London, having dated quite a few girls. Some of them, I came to this weird realization that I think that some of these guys and girls kind of get an identity from being traumatized.
For sure.
In a really weird way. And it's like, oh, I'll speak to my therapist about this. I'll speak to my therapist about this. And it's become so ingrained in them about who they are.
Should we break down why that happens for people?
I would love to do that.
So they're a victim, right? Okay. So the reason that they're playing the role of the victim, or anybody who's attached to this identity of it's not fair or this and this happened to me, is because by playing that victim role, it's what gives you love, it's what gives you attention, it's what gives you affection. So you're essentially getting positively reinforced for being this victim. So if I say, if you tell this whole trauma story of this thing that happened to you, which by the way, like I'm very empathetic to, some of the people I've worked with have been through the most categorically traumatic shit. So I'm not saying I'm not empathetic to that, I am, but I refuse to view you as a victim, because all that does is exasperate that problem, right? So that's why they do it. If you remove that and you break that pattern and you don't give them that affection, then immediately they'll be like, wait, what? And then they'll start acting differently. And so if you look at yourself, people listening, like everyone has these tendencies, right? But look at yourself. Where are you exhibiting these behaviors that gives you this affection? Because the reason we do everything is ultimately to get attention, to get love, right? Or to feel worthy, or to feel respected as a man, which is again just another form of attention and love. So that's why we do everything. There's a spoiler alert. We should have waited till the end, whatever. So if that's why we do everything, what behaviors are you doing that get you that? Let's say, and this can go anything. It can be you're in a relationship, the girlfriend starts crying, and then maybe you respond one day and you just flip and you get angry. Like, why are you crying? Life's so good. And she stops crying. She's now hypnotizing you to say, anytime I cry, you get angry because it stops me from crying. These patterns develop, right? Or in business, it's the same thing. Like if you get frustrated in your business, employees not doing what they're supposed to do. Hey, do you want to do it this way? You say it nicely 3 times and bro, come on, we need to get this done. And then they go and do it. Again, you're training the employee to only work properly and respond when you get angry, right? So these are the patterns that develop. So this is why you have to do the work in yourself first to then be able to help others with it. I think this is why I only started doing this at 30, because I just had so much of my own shit to work through first. I'm not saying I'm perfect, got a long way to go, but enough to be able to help most people. Yeah.
It's funny, also funny you said that, because I saw that in my own life. I'll open up here for a sec. My father, most of my childhood, even still today, just shouts and shouts. And like my household at home, like my dad, I think it's kind of his own nervous system got fried because he went through like some big lawsuit case thing, and got sued, business partner left him, like just fucked over so many times. And my whole childhood just shouted. And the reason I bring this up is because after a certain point, you also get desensitized to it. Like this stick approach works for a little bit, but if you want to be a really good leader, you have to recognize that long term, it's not going to work. It simply doesn't. And that's me coming from my own experience of my own bloody dad, right? It's quite interesting.
It's fascinating how human psychology works. It's the best thing you can learn if you want to learn a skill is human psychology. Master your own psychology and then others. And you'll be able to when you can understand how humans work, yourself and others, you win the game.
What's one of the most, if you said to me, okay, what are the 3 principles of human psychology that you would have, like if you had to teach someone them, what would they be? Or like of understanding human psychology. Let me ask that question again. If you're drilling down, if you're explaining human psychology to someone that has no idea what it is, what are the 3 areas or 3 things that you would actually use and focus on to explain human psychology?
The first one is you're either motivated by pain or desire. And there's different ways of saying that.
Can it be both?
Yes, it can be both. And for a lot of people, it is. But usually for most people, the stick or pain is the thing that's driving them forward up until a certain point, right? Now, here's the thing. That can work. That's a push motivation. The way I describe it is if you're trying to heat up a room, you're trying to get energy, you can throw coal into that fire. It's going to create energy, right? It's going to move. It's going to heat up the room. But if you do that for your whole life, guess what? You're going to be breathing in that smoke. You're going to get lung cancer eventually. It's got negative downsides to it, right? Had a new client who joined up with me yesterday, Martina. I don't know if you know her. Really cool girl. She runs super successful girl. Like she's, massive, very successful entrepreneur. And she'd basically been driven by that up until this point, multimillionaire, young girl. And she was like, I have all these negative health consequences now. Like I'm stressed all the time and et cetera, et cetera. So there has to become a point where you switch those motivations. And this is the point where most people come to me. They've got successful, they've used that pain, and now they're like, I can't use the pain anymore. Like I'm literally
tapped out.
I'm tapped out. I'm where I want to be. I'm now in silk sheets. So the pain doesn't work anymore. Or even if you're not there yet and you just tapped out from pain, doesn't really matter. What do I do now? And it's being able to now say, okay, well, what is it that you do actually want? What is that vision? How can you get pulled towards that? And it starts by changing those motivators. Typically, if you can focus that more around growing and contributing in a way, that's going to massively just help you to be pulled more than pushed. Now, but at the same time, you can still use those push motivators. Every single day when I wake up, I hypnotize myself every single day. And the thing I do is I basically just play out the 2 paths. I'm like, okay, the way I show up today is a decision, and those decisions have consequences. And if I extrapolate that out to I'm 100, what are those consequences? One path is I don't show up fully today. I don't feel like it right now in the moment, whatever. And I die with regret, essentially, is what we get to, right? The other pathway is I do show up today. I take that action and I die. And I actually look back and I'm super content. I'm super happy and life's gone great, right? That might sound like a bit extreme, but actually where we are right now is just a sum of all the decisions that we've made. And every single moment, if you could see it on a map or look back at every single decision you've made and how it's made you get here, you would make decisions differently. And if you could see where it was going, you would make decisions differently. It's just that most people aren't conscious of what those decisions are.
I also think it's that most people are stuck in this kind of hamster wheel. And it's so hard. And I'm saying this as someone who was, I used to work at Bloomberg, financial company, where a few things. There what happened is you're basically programmed into an identity of being a corporate slave, for lack of it's horrible to say, but true. Because what happens, you go to work and they say, you are this person. I wasn't on a graduate scheme, but I was on a scheme thing. It's like, you are doing this program, you are in this team covering these clients. And every single day, how you even introduce yourself, it's like, I am this person that does this. And so it reinforces this identity of someone that maybe you're not actually, like, that might not actually be you. And a slight little tangent, if you don't mind. One of the best things, or like the ultimate hack that I realized in retrospect that I've done in terms of actually making genuine connections and meeting with people here, is that I do not give a shit about someone's identity in the politest way. When I meet someone, I really genuinely, with my little puppy eyes, try and look at you for who you are. I don't care that, I think it's cool and I give it credit. You know, I'm like, it's cool. You are like a successful entrepreneur now. Like, I think that's cool. But I'm not friends with you because of that. And I don't tie you. I'm not like Ibrahim equals successful person. Like, that's one. I think it's like Ibrahim as a person, and this is what you're doing right now, which is cool. And that also might be because I've gone through ups and downs, and you see that, and it doesn't define who you are as a person. And that's my ultimate networking hack, which is so bloody stupid. But it's, if you want to meet someone, look at them for who they are. I'm talking into the camera. Don't look at them as, like a connection, or like what they do. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Is that fair?
Yeah. But earlier on in my journey, similar to you, I was able to be friends with people who are like not equal to where I was at. Let's just put it in that way, right?
Yeah.
Like super. And people would always ask me like, what are your networking secrets? Da, da, da. And I was like, I looked back at it because I was like, what do you mean networking secrets? But for me, the hack was, I didn't need anything from that person.
That's also very true.
That was the key for me, because I literally just be friends with them and just be good vibes and genuinely just not need to take anything. And you'd be so shocked at how many these people who you want to become friends with or network with, everyone just wants something from them, right? Everyone's trying to take something. So if you can just be good vibes and be good energy and be yourself, that is so valuable and refreshing to them, because they never get that, because there's always some kind of transaction or something that somebody wants. If you can just do that, and you know, if you ever heard the phrase, what is it? Know your network before you need your network. The reason why this business also grew quickly is because I unconsciously did that. I had such a good collection of friends and people who are super high quality, who trust me, that now I'm essentially leveraging that in a way. Like last night, this woman, Martina, who signed up with me, very successful entrepreneur. Had already asked around a lot of people before she even met with me. She wouldn't have sat down with me if she hadn't had like 5 references of people saying like, yeah, he's good, like I know him, or had this good experience, whatever, right? And that, like, people play so short term and just thinking of what I can take. But here's the thing, the space is small. Word actually travels. Just because you don't have some negative Reddit thread about you, that doesn't mean people aren't not saying good things about you behind your back. It's what people say about you behind your back what really matters. That's what actually matters. And I think for me, somebody asked me the other day on a podcast, who's your most successful, like who's the biggest mentor that you've had in your life? And I said, it's my dad. And the reason I said my dad is because not that he actively said stuff to me and mentored me, but the way he showed up was always just genuinely trying to help people. He would give what he had, and that was just how he was. And it was to his own detriment sometimes. He did too much. So I also learned,
I think my dad's
I learned to have a balance with that. But it taught me such good values as a man, and being a man is always a good male role model in a way. Had his own issues, as we all do, but I think he was a good male role model. And so that's the thing with the network stuff, man. If you can literally just be a freaking good time, and maybe and this is how I was able to be at tables with guys who were way fucking out of my league in terms of their success, because I'm just a good freaking time, and that was it. Like, don't overcomplicate.
I think that's me.
That's you 100%. You do the same thing really well, and it's just because you're yourself, you're authentic, and you do add genuine value. Like the first time we met, you'd added so much value to me immediately that I was like, holy, like, wow, like it's just
with what I don't.
You gave me different ideas around business that were genuinely good ideas, and it also, it's just like the intention of it as well, because givers recognize givers, and there's not, and Alex Hormozy talks about this, if you ever heard him, there's like tit for tat, like you do something for me, I do something for you. That's like most people. There's takers, they just get wiped out. And then there's givers, which is maybe 10% of people, where you just give, and you just give because you can give and you don't need anything back. When a giver and a giver comes together, it's a magical thing, because that's like 1 + 1 = 100.
That's
because
cool.
there's a massive network effect of that.
I like you said that. My approach is, I don't know where, I just like to help people. It sounds so gay, but it's like, it just makes me happy to see my friends win. And as you said earlier, I don't ever ask for anything from any of my friends. I don't. Like, I'm grateful that they're, like, we hang out together. And do you know what it is? All I'm grateful for is that people give me their time. Even like William Brown, for example, he's my friend, and he's so busy, and I've never asked him about I just don't. I just try and help him how I can. I try, if he needs help, I try to connect him to people. But it's literally what you said before. I do not ask for people, and I always try and think in win-win scenarios. How do you like to be spoken about behind your back?
That's a great question. I think what's really important to me is integrity, because and trustworthy. That's really important to me, because that's, like you said, there's always going to be ups and downs and things. There's always going to be some people who are happier. Some people don't like more. The more I go with this, the more people actively don't like me. Like, I know there are people who do negatively talk about me behind my back now, because some of the things I say is triggering or controversial, which is fine. But I know that I always act in integrity. So if people at least know that, then I'm fine. Because people will always disagree with you, with me. Like, I'm basically coming and saying to most people, like, the way you've been living is like a lie, and you could be doing it this way.
Yeah.
That's fucking triggering. That's a mirror, right, to the face. But I know that for a small subset of those people who I say that to, it will wake them up and it will make them change. And those will be the people who go on to do amazing things with it. And that's fantastic, right? And that's what I want to do. But as long as I said he had integrity doing it, and they can see it's coming from the right place, I genuinely care, that's it. That's fine.
You brought up a memory for me, which is after that first coaching experience. I feel like something in me changed. And I was following all these spiritual development people, whatever, and I started to get triggered by them. And I think it's because I was kind of shown, like, look how easy it can be. But then maybe for whatever reason, I wasn't ready for it at the time. Now I feel so fucking ready for it. But at the time, I wasn't ready for it. And so I would get pissed off almost and unfollow all this stuff, because I was like, nah, that's bullshit, that's bullshit, that's bullshit. And so I think you're onto a real winner when you start to get some of these haters, because in a really weird way, you've now got a lot of people. And what you're saying is, I can help people's lives so much. I can provide so much value that there is a part of some people that are like, I'm spiritually not evolved to see this really strong mirror in front of me that shows the transformation, because that can actually accept and bring on and take on the transformation that you can provide.
Yeah, that's a really good point. That's actually an insight I'd never thought of that way. You have to be ready and at a certain stage of your journey to be able to even be open to that. And the mind is a record of the past. So for example, with that, that bad experience you had, it's like you've now kind of overcome that, right? And you're now like, yeah, cool, win some, lose some, whatever. But at the time, and for a period after, it was probably like, I'm traumatized, like, fuck these guys, et cetera, right? But then you grew, and now you can just see it as an experience. You learned from it. I'm sure you took some things from it.
I do. And you just my nuggets here and there.
Yeah. And so you just kind of move forward. And I think that's the thing. And with people who have been burnt in the past, it's like, I used to run a marketing agency, so everyone had been burnt in the past, right? So I had to deal with that all the time. And it's again, it just comes down to like, okay, that happened in the past. We're here now in the present. Where do you want to go from here? Do you think that's what's going to happen again here? Well, no, it was this different situation. Okay, well then, what are we doing? Let's go.
One of my favorite recent quotes is, "Don't remember the past, remember the future."
Yeah, I love that.
That was actually told to me by Shako, who worked with you, and he really credited the work you did.
Love that. Such a good quote.
It really hit me, that quote, because it made me think, hang on, I don't have to take anything from these past experiences. Because the mind's an illusion almost, and the memory's an illusion, is what I meant to say. And so if you remember the future, you can take reference experiences from this future version of yourself that hasn't even manifested itself yet, or whatever you want to say. And someone could watch this and say, this guy is completely fucking delusional and it's just cooked what he's saying. But try it and it works.
Everything I do in hypnosis is remembering your future, because you're connecting to that vision, right? And this isn't just some woo-woo shit. If you look at all of the most successful people in the world, this is what they're doing in some form or another. Let's take Conor McGregor as a case study, because everyone knows who that is. He was working on a building site, getting minimum wage, whilst saying, I'm going to be UFC champion of the world. He wasn't even competing properly yet. That's what I'm going to be. That was the vision he aligned himself to with 100% confidence.
And how many people do you meet that have that 100% confidence?
Very few.
It's fucking rare.
Very few. And here's the thing is like, for example, for me, like, you know, I'll be charging $1 million a client for what I do, right? There's not 1% uncertainty that I'll do that. There's literally not even 1% uncertainty, that I will do that, right? And so how much more likely do you think it is for me to actually do that because of that confidence? It's like the question is, okay, if it's just that easy, what's stopping most people from doing that? The thing that's stopping most people from doing that is fear of other people's judgment, failing, getting rejected, their own self-belief, like whatever these things are. So it's just fear. That's the only thing stopping you. What is fear? False evidence appearing real. It's an illusion. It literally does not exist.
Fugazi,
it's fugazi. Fairy dust, right? And so you have to come to a point where you just wake up and say, do I want to listen to this fear anymore? Why am I listening to it? And then he went and became UFC champion of the entire world. And he's still to this day, he's not even an MMA fighter anymore. He's still the most famous MMA fighter. No one even got close to him, right? I'm now getting close to his organization actually, which is super sick. Very cool. I'm super pumped. Watch this space. I will do a session with McGregor.
It's here.
You heard it here. I will. But you see that even me saying that, I'm doing that because I'm creating that reality to come ahead of time. And that's how it happens. Like nothing I'm doing now is by chance. Every single thing I already created in my mind, and that's why it's happening now. Or I said it. There's 3 ways to manifest faster or create things faster. One is your thoughts, right? If you just actually get your thoughts straight, that's going to be a big thing because you have so many of these bullshit thoughts that aren't helping you. So number 1 is that. Number 2, write them down with a pen and paper. Actually write it down. Get it outside of you. Number 3, say it. This is the one where most people struggle because when you say it, I'm going to do this, now somebody else is viewing that back to you. And then when you see them not go, oh, that's bullshit, and they actually nod their head, it gives you this more self-belief, right? So if you just do those 3 things, I guarantee you'll get to where you want to go faster just through doing that.
How do you define confidence?
It's an internal state. So I can define what it isn't first to maybe get to what it is, because it's one of those things which is like a little bit hard to touch. It isn't based on how much money you make or what car you drive or how you wear. It isn't arrogance. It isn't ego. It's none of those things. That's what most people think of as an image in their mind when they think of confidence. I'm actually more of a slightly introverted guy, and I'm not this big brash like figure, you know, who's like a Trump or an Andrew Tate. I'm not naturally like that. Don't get me wrong, I can get into zones where I get, you know, excited, but it's more of an internal confidence. It's a quiet confidence for me. For some people, it is that. It looks like that, but it's just self-belief, because you feel confident when you just feel comfortable and relaxed in a scenario, right? So when you're first, probably not for me because you seem like a very confident guy, but I'm sure you've had guests who maybe it was their first podcast and you could tell they were shitting it, right?
I had to get the lube out and everything.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, you got to get that Durex out, right? But you had guests like that.
100%. Yeah.
And so the reason why they were not confident is because they were not comfortable in that scenario. Now, you've done so many of these podcasts. So it's literally, you can just wake up, roll out of bed, open your eyes, and immediately go into a podcast.
I'm on 4 hours sleep, ladies and gentlemen.
So you can do that. And so can I, because I've also been in this situation because I'm comfortable with it, right? So the comfortability is the key. I'll give you an example of how this played out with a recent person I worked with. She was a professional tennis player, and she would crush it in training. She'd beat everyone. She'd smoke them all. But when she got onto doing the Grand Slams, she would just completely flop, right? And it wasn't the skill. She would beat these people outside of the competition. It was because she didn't feel, and she was an Indian, and there's not many Indians in tennis, probably why she resonated with me. She didn't feel comfortable on the tennis court. She did not feel like she belonged on the tennis court, and so she would self-sabotage herself. Every single person here has a version of that in their own life where they're self-sabotaging themselves because they do not feel worthy of the situation they're in. I'll add one more thing to that. Money. The amount of money you have in your bank account right now is a reflection of your self-worth. I have clients who make $500,000 a month and they have 5K max in their bank account, personal bank account. The reason they have that and they just they find somewhere to put it, it just goes out here, there, and everywhere, is because they do not have the inner confidence and self-worth to have that money, or they don't trust themselves with that money.
Is that true though? Because you've got the counterpoint, which is they're just spending and investing the money too. Or they have such a confidence in their own ability to make more money that it doesn't matter.
That is possible, but that's at the extremes. I think maybe a few percent of people are like that, which is true. I'm talking about most people here.
That's fair.
Which is if you have a pattern where you just seem to make money. And like if you're bullish on investing right now, fucking do that. I've been through those phases where I just put everything back in and just risk it for the biscuit. I love that. But if you've been making money for a while consistently and it's a good amount of money and it's a disposable amount, but for some reason it's just going away somewhere, there's a reason. That's not by accident, right? There's a reason that's happening. It's usually connected to your inner confidence and self-worth. Once you have to go layers down deep to get there. But
are we for time?
That's a big one.
We've got 5 minutes.
Damn, man. Fuck. Let's just keep going until they kick us out.
Keep going. Do you want to do the hypnosis?
Yeah. We could,
there's not enough time. That's okay. We'll leave it.
I think it'll be a bit short. Yeah.
I have an answer for what I think confidence is. Just really simple.
Yep.
I think it's complete presence. Because when you're present to the moment, you're not thinking about anything else. You're just there. And when you're just there, you're in full acceptance. So maybe acceptance is a better word, or whatever word you want to use. Like, it's just a vessel, these words. They're just labels. But when you're fully present, you don't have any of these nagging thoughts, do you? Because you're just there.
Super smart.
You don't have anyone in your head being like, oh, you're not good enough, or this, or this, or this. And I think that's also some like recognizing myself. Something that I've done is I feel like I'm pretty present a lot of the time.
100%.
And because of that, when I connect with people and when I meet people, I'm just there. And there's no ego. There's no like, oh, like you said before, can I get something out of this person? I'm just like there having a good vibe. And I'm like, I'm just here to enjoy life. And, you know, it's so funny. I think one of the moments that put me into that state is buying a motorbike. So anyone considering it, buy a fucking motorbike. Reason is because you're forced to be present. You're really forced. Obviously not in Dubai, but last night I was driving in somewhere where there's no speed limits, and
in another country.
Yeah. Just in case CID are watching. And I had a friend on the back, and she was like, let's go faster, as fast as you can. And I was like, fine. Go to 205 kilometers an hour, which is actually pretty fucking fast. It's like 140 miles an hour on a motorbike. Now, I'll be honest, I was like in this vest, like that. If I fell, I'd be fucking dead. Do you think I can think? Or can I think? I cannot think in those situations. Now, that's also an extreme, so maybe don't do that. But point being, I really believe that true confidence is just true presence. And you're someone who's very present to the moment. It's something that I recognize in you. What are things that you do that make you so present? Is it hypnosis?
That's a really, really good point. I'll give one thing, but the number one fear is public speaking for people. And why do they say, if you want to overcome that, imagine the audience naked, right? They say that because it takes the attention off of you and onto them, allows you to be present, right? So with me, I definitely wasn't always fucking coming out meditating for sure. I was in my head, insecure, all these things. The way you become more present is just by accepting whatever those thoughts are in the mind and just letting them pass. That's it. Because when the mind is still, it's a beautiful place. But for most people, it's not the case. On average, they did studies on men and they basically said, would you rather sit in a room by yourself for 10 minutes or would you rather be electrocuted? Most men said they'd rather be electrocuted than just sit by themselves for 10 minutes. The reason that is because in their own mind, there's so much suffering, so much negative thoughts going on that it's actually too painful to be there, which is why everybody distracts from themselves. So if you can just become more present, just as a real tangible tip for most people here, if they're an entrepreneur or whatever, they might struggle to meditate, do breath work instead. Actually just do that. The reason why is because it's active. This is a really actionable tip that I give a lot of clients. Do that because you don't have time to think, because you're doing like an activity. Just like if you're driving a motorbike, you're present, right? Same thing with the breath work. So it's just a really
another hack that I think that people just don't do, especially in this city, which is wild, is tap into nature. Last weekend I went camping in the mountains. Waking up to that beauty and that presence and just the stillness. Actually, I woke up to bloody goats, but it really like brings you into this present moment. Go to if this is for anyone in Dubai listening, go to Ras Al Khaimah, go to Fujairah, go like swimming in the sea, not in the artificial bullshit, the palm ones, but actually go into nature. There's beautiful nature here. And that's also something that I find wild. I feel like people aren't spiritually evolved to actually recognize true beauty and true nature, which is why they keep themselves stuck in the marina, right? Or whatever it is, just in these concrete jungle, rather than actually being open and allowing this true beauty of the universe into them. Another quick tip is try go to Oman. You can go to Oman. It's a 2-hour, like this is also the crazy thing. It's like 2 fucking hours. You drive there, you take a boat and you see the fjords of the Middle East, which is the most incredible landscape I've ever seen. You camp there on a boat overnight, no cell phone signal, stars, sea. You're camping in like on a boat in the middle of the sea and pure stillness. And that is an activity that fills your cup back up. And when your cup is full, you can also become, I think, a better giver. And that also really helps your presence.
That was beautiful, man. I'm waiting for you to grow long hair and become a guru now. It's gonna happen. The next arc after this.
No, I'm gonna do evil arc with like Neo in the Matrix. That's why I'm wearing. No, this is the Fight Club moment. I think we're up for time, sadly. But
pleasure.
Where can people find you?
Google. Damn it. Every time we go out, he tries to put me under. Instagram, Ibrahim.
Instagram, Ibrahim. I'm Piero Laudher. You've been listening to Pandora's Box. Check out him on Instagram. Try his stuff. Game changer. And I'll see you on episode 69.